Here starts off by saying, of course, he cites the verse, Surah Al-Baqarah 256, and he says, Allah says there is no compulsion in religion, meaning do not force anyone to embrace Islam because it is clear and its proofs and evidences are manifest. Whoever Allah guides and opens his heart to Islam has indeed embraced it with clear evidence. Whoever Allah misguides blinds his heart and has set a seal on his hearing and a covering on his eyes cannot embrace Islam by force. So there's no compulsion in religion. Now, neither one of these are relevant for Kathir because he states this verse is abrogated by the verse of fighting. Okay, and he quotes Surah 48:16 and Surah 9, of course, 73 and 123. So then Kathir continues, therefore, all people of the world should be called to Islam. If any one of them refuses to do so or refuses to pay the jizya, they should be fought till they are killed. Okay, so for Kathir, it's abrogated. One of the most influential commentators in the history of Sunni Islam says, all people of the world should be called to Islam. If any one of them refuses to do so or refuses to pay the jizya, they should be fought till they are killed. And now you know why the abridged version that is online doesn't contain certain parts of Ibn Kathir's tafsir. These aren't things that Muslims want you to read. But those are Kathir's words. So regardless of why Surah 256 was revealed, for Kathir it doesn't matter. It's abrogated by the verses of fighting.
One of the biggest clowns to comment or critique Islam is somebody named, or the YouTuber named Islam Critique, where this joker, this joker actually thinks he knows Islam when in reality he knows his understanding or his knowledge of Islam is like below kindergarten status or below elementary status. But anyways, he says the crux of his argument is that the Quran chapter 2 verse 256 has been abrogated by the Quran chapter 9, and he misquoted Ibn Kathir. Now, before I even get into any of that, was the Quran chapter 2 verse 256 abrogated? Was it thought to be abrogated by the followers of the Prophet Muhammad after the Prophet Muhammad died? And the answer is no. The disciples or the companions of the Prophet Muhammad actually thought that the Quran chapter 2 verse 256, where it says there's no compulsion in religion, is still binding. It's still standing even after the death of the Prophet Muhammad and after the Quran revelations stopped coming. I have with me this book. It's called Rayatus Sahaba, the lives of the Sahaba. So Sahaba, for anybody who doesn't know, is the disciples or the companions of the Prophet Muhammad who lived with the Prophet Muhammad and were taught by the Prophet Muhammad in Arabia. And this is Rayatus Sahaba, volume 1. So I got this book, many years ago. And I just recently started rereading it, and I came to one of the disciples of the Prophet Muhammad was a man named Umar ibn Khattab. Umar ibn Khattab was probably one of the greatest disciples of the Prophet Muhammad after Abu Bakr. The Prophet Muhammad said in an authentic hadith that after me follow Abu Bakr and Umar ibn Khattab. And this hadith is found in, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, etc. So I just wanna point out something in this hadith, or I want to point out one of the actions of Umar ibn Khattab. So in this book, Riyatus Sahaba, volume 1, pages 211, it said that Umar ibn Khattab once had a Christian slave named named Istik. He says that I was a Christian and I was a slave of Umar ibn al-Khattab. So Umar ibn Khattab told the Christian slave to convert to Islam, and the Christian slave, Istiq, didn't want to convert. He wanted to stay a Christian. So notice what Umar ibn Khattab said. Umar ibn Khattab said that there is no compulsion in religion. So basically, Umar ibn Khattab quoted the Quran, chapter 2, verse 256. And keep in mind, Umar ibn Khattab was the caliph, several years after the Prophet Muhammad died. So this is way after the Quran's, after the Prophet Muhammad's death. So Umar ibn Khattab understood that Quran chapter 2 verse 256 is still binding. It hasn't been abrogated. It hasn't been canceled out. It's still, you can still apply it for today, and or for modern times. So when Umar ibn Khattab died, or when Umar ibn Khattab was close to death, um, he told his Christian slave uh, that he granted the Christian slave freedom and allowed the Christian slave to go to a place of his choice. So basically, Umar ibn Khattab set the Christian slave free, didn't and then allowed him to remain a Christian. He didn't force him to become a Muslim, and he allowed the person to leave or to go wherever he wanted. And this hadith is transmitted by Ibn Sa'd, and it's found in Al-Kanaz, volume 5, page 50. And what else? And it's also narrated it's narrated by Abu Naim in Al-Hiya, volume 16, page 34. It's a authentic narration. So basically, there's another story about Umar and Khattab in Syria, where I think this is also important, where Umar ibn Khattab wanted a Christian woman to, when Umar ibn Khattab was in Syria, he wanted a Christian woman to convert to Islam, and she said, "No, I'm not going to convert because I'm too old." And Umar ibn Khattab said, "Okay, that's it." Then he said, "Oh Allah, you are my witness that I have preached to her." And this hadith is found in Al-Kanaz, volume 5, page 142. So notice what Umar ibn Khattab did. Notice how Umar ibn Khattab behaved with these Christians. He basically said that he preached the message of Islam to these Christians, this Christian woman and this Christian slave. They refused to convert to Islam, and Umar ibn Khattab said, "Okay, that's fine. You follow your religion, I follow mine." So that, and Umar ibn Khattab recited the Quran chapter 2 verse 256, saying that there's no compulsion in religion. Thus, a Muslim cannot force any non-Muslim to convert to Islam, according to the understanding of the caliphs. So getting back to this Ibn Kathir issue, well, this clown this clown didn't cite Ibn Kathir properly. I have Ibn Kathir's statement right on the screen there, and you can see it right here. And I'll read the relevant part. It says, Ibn Kathir says, "Do not force anyone to become Muslim, for Islam is plain and clear, and its proofs and evidence are plain and clear. Therefore, there is no need to force anybody to embrace Islam. Rather, whoever God directs to Islam opens his heart for it and enlightens his mind will embrace Islam with certainty. Whoever God blinds his heart and seals his hearing and sight, he will not benefit from being forced to embrace Islam." Uh, you know, and notice the last part. It says, "However, it is not relevant to the subject under discussion, for the Prophet did not force that man to become Muslim." So basically, there's no forced conversions in Islam. If a person does not want to be a Muslim, you cannot force them to become a Muslim. They can remain whatever religion they were. And now some might say the Quran chapter 2 verse 256 is abrogated, and that's false because there are many classical Muslim. Now the Quran says follow the Prophet Muhammad, and the Prophet Muhammad said follow the Muslim scholars after him. He said follow the first three generations or the best generations, and he said follow the Muslim scholars after me. So the Muslim scholars agree that the Quran chapter 2 verse 256 is not abrogated or canceled out and is still binding today, would include Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyum, Al-Tabari, Abi Uwaid, Al-Jassas, Malik ibn Abi Talib, Al-Nas, Ibn Jazi, Al-Sudi, Ibn Ashar, Mustafa Zayed, and I'll leave all the references towards the end. So this refutes Islam critiques statement that the Quran chapter 2 verse 256 was abrogated or canceled by the Quran chapter 9. Ibn Kathir does not say that or imply that if you read his tafsir or his commentary on the Quran carefully. Stay tuned. The final videos are up ahead.